This is Gam Chat. My name is Greg.
I'm McCoy.
And I'm D.
We're three Filipino gay guys trying to make sense of anything and everything in the world today. Welcome to our podcast.
So, guys, something just popped up on my phone that's kind of concerning.
Popped up.
Can you turn off your Grinder app?
Oh, no, I didn't turn it on the whole day.
Lies.
I switched to Scruff. It's Scruff for today. They had to take turns because I have different, fan base.
I don't know how to process this. It's like...
Okay.
It's Sunday Grinder days, Monday Scruff days, like that?
Well, there used to be Sunday Fun Day, right? So now...
Oh my goodness. So what is it now?
Sunday App Day.
Okay.
So anyway, something popped up on my phone other than my Scruff notification. In Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi and some of the leaders in her party were detained by the military Monday morning. So that's Monday morning. That's a few hours ago, I'm assuming, based on when we're recording now. The spokesperson for the party said this from the Guardian newspaper, quote, "We have to assume that the military is staging a coup," and he doesn't want to say more, but he's expecting to be detained as well, the spokesperson for the party. They said the raids come after the country's powerful military raised the specter of staging a coup as a ramped up demands for an investigation into alleged voter fraud during the last year's election, which was swept by Aung San Suu Kyi's ruling party. They're alleging fraud.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so the National League for Democracy, which is her party, won November's poll in a landslide, but has been much criticized by rights groups for its disenfranchisement of voters in conflict regions. And also, the military-aligned opposition disputed the results, while the army has for weeks alleged widespread voter irregularities, claiming to have found 8.6 million cases of fraud. Now, their credibility, I don't know. John Sippin, Asia Advocacy Director at Human Rights Watch, said, quote, "The military junta has ruled Myanmar for decades, never really stepped away from power in the first place. They never really submitted to civilian authority in the first place. So today's events, in some sense, are merely revealing a political reality that already existed." So, I mean, that's the reality in Myanmar. It's sad. It seems like they have taken like one step forward and two steps back. It just makes me sad because it was very promising what was going on there. Although I have to talk about what's been happening with the Rohingya people. It's also absolutely disappointing, and how it was handled was terrible. But that doesn't excuse the military detaining people that were elected into office.
It gives me stress, anxiety, only because, like the United States is trying to deal with their own coup attempt.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been figured out yet. And then what's going on in the Philippines? It's not a coup, but it's just unrest politically.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because it's like, come on, like, can we get access to democracy and voice? And then it also raises the question too that I think every country, including the U.S., is suffering with, is this information and this idea of you could just say it's voter fraud to get into seize power.
Yeah.
Maybe later on I can, on my own time, figure out what are the claims for voter fraud that they have. I would imagine, just like how I remember Philippines, it's really hard to track, right? Is that how the process is there?
Well, there's parts of Myanmar that's not fully controlled by the government, where they have separatist groups, for example. So I think maybe that's what they're claiming, that they were not registered properly, or there's some irregularities with the voting. So I don't really know, because more details are coming in, because the military spokesperson, of course, couldn't be reached. Yeah. Phone calls weren't getting into the capitals. But a BBC reporter did say there's military on the streets of Yangon and the capital city, which name I could never pronounce. But also, Greg, to your point, in the Philippines, an election is coming next year. So it's a chance for people to hit the reset button.
When is the election in the Philippines happening?
It's every 6 years. So the next election for the presidential and the national election is going to be next year, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to register, because I'm also a citizen. So I have to register to vote before September. I have to go to the embassy and register. But I can only vote in the national election, not the local election like barangay captain or Congress representative and all that. Only Senate and presidential.
I was watching a documentary this past weekend called The Kingmaker. It's on Showtime. and it's about Imelda. But it's also showing the Marcus's rise to political power and global power and influence all the way to 2019. Oh man, it's like I'm watching history repeat itself in the Philippines. I'm kind of flabbergasted. I think I'm just also suffering from my own like trauma from our own elections.
Yeah.
But to see how incredibly fragile democracy is in the Philippines, and how social media and misinformation is taking a huge toll on democracy. Long story short, the documentary is about how the Marcos family is setting themselves up to
Succession again.
yeah, to get Bongbong as the president again, and how much of the people's money that was stolen is now being used against their own democracy to influence the election. I find it frightening.
Well, he hasn't said whether he's running or not, but I think the likelihood of him running is very, very high. But you also have to understand that in the Philippines, people from prominent political families and also people who have family who have money, they wield a lot of influence. And also the politics in the Philippines is about personality. So it's not about party principles, it's about personality. And that's just the reality of it. Maybe one day it'll change. Who knows when?
I mean, I get the whole fascination with Imelda. This orphan little girl coming from nothing to, having all this power, and, how she has all the shoes and the glamour and ostentatious, and how it distracts the people of what's really happening behind the closed doors and influence. It kind of reminds me of Trumpism. Trump was trying to like be this kind of like showboat and show all the stuff that he had, and he really didn't. But it's really just distracting us of what was really happening. Oh. Thanks, McCoy, for some light news.
So how about you, D?
I feel like I unplugged last week because I really just needed to not be watch any news. So I did. I still listen to my morning news, but I just chose not to hold on to any of them.
Yeah.
It's weird because obviously 7 days in 1 week, but all I can remember is that I celebrated my first dog's birthday. So that was the only thing that I remember. And it's funny because
how old?
She's 15 and McCoy has been around. Like I still have this one picture. Yes, I still have this one picture. Maybe we'll post it on Instagram of McCoy sitting in our back seat and he was holding her wrapped in a blanket, and we still have that blanket.
Oh,
like that.
Wait, do I look good in the picture? Because if I look good in the picture, let's go ahead and post it.
But I still have that picture. Yeah.
And if he doesn't, D, you gotta post it anyways. And I bet you there's gonna have there'll be like a handful of popcorn or peanuts in the picture as well. Oh, I love that.
We shut everything down, and I think I'm gonna do the same thing next week because then it's our other dog's birthday. She's like 1 year younger, so.
Also, I was involved with that one.
Yeah, McCoy is involved with any big major decisions
because he's a gunkle. McCoy is the doggy gunkle.
Well, McCoy was actually the one who's like, just get it.
Yeah, I did.
Well, so what did you do to celebrate?
I baked her a cake, and then we pretended as if surprising, actually, going into the room. She's laying down on her bed, and then we went to her and sang happy birthday. She doesn't give a fuck though, because she was but the minute she smelled the peanut butter cake, that's when she woke up and ooh, okay. It's a milestone for us though.
Juku's like a cat. She doesn't really care.
Yeah.
Well, does she get to eat the cake, or is it
a
cake for
it's
only humans?
No, it's a gluten-free cake for dogs. So, but the thing is,
welcome to LA, folks. Welcome to LA.
It's a big milestone for us because she's been sick for how many years, and to the point where she's losing hair. So we got her back into this state where she's comfortable again. She's growing her hair back. I mean, it's monthly vet visits, which I'm not even gonna think about the money, but as long as she's around and she's comfortable, that's where we're at.
Don't they say that specifically, I guess maybe dogs, they have the mentality of a 4-year-old human? Is that true?
I thought it was 6. It could be 4. I think you're right.
Well, I
love dogs.
Yeah, I don't know about a 4-year-old, 6-year-old, because she's every night I give her CBD oil so she could just knock the fuck out and chill. So I wouldn't give that to a kid. Right?
Or sounds like you probably would, actually.
Maybe. to shut them up. There you go. But yeah, so I chose to like just stay light, and I think I'm gonna do the same thing next week, and then I'll check into reality again after that. Maybe. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, no, you don't need to.
We'll let you know.
You're good. You don't need to look at the news. McCoy will definitely let the whole world know what's happening.
I'll see what I can do.
McCoy's our global reporter.
Well, let's stay local this time around.
Oh, can I tell you one news that kind of set me off yesterday?
Okay.
When I saw that anti-vaxxers were
Yes.
protesting at the Dodger Stadium at the vaccination site.
What?
They basically
Yes.
shut down the vaccination site because they were protesting.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You can protest on the sideline. You don't have to get in people's way who actually believe in this thing.
But, but the thing is, see, this is what was going through my head when I guess I didn't unplug because I did see that. And my head was like, okay,
I didn't.
We're not forcing you to be like vaccinated. It's an option. But why are you getting in a way of forcing the rest of us who wants to do it?
That's what I just said.
Oh, no, but I'm going to delete your statement anyway, so it's okay. Yeah. But isn't that like crazy?
Yeah,
like,
that's really, really annoying. Yeah, you're right. It's like, this is my right and it's my choice. You're all about choice, right? Why are you taking away mine?
Yeah.
So that's my thing.
That set me off.
And what sucks is that I've been helping my in-laws to actually get an appointment, and everywhere is shut down. No appointments available. People are looking to get it. I'm waiting to get mine until they actually say I'm allowed to get it.
Well, let's hope that when the federal government finally gets its plan moving, that we'll have a ramped up program for the vaccination. Because me, as working for a hospital, I already got my vaccine, and they opened it up to family members who are over 65.
Yeah.
And I don't have any family members who are over 65 here, so I couldn't avail of that service.
So today we have a really special guest that's going to join us for this episode. His name is Pedro Vidallon. I'm going to read his bio because it's a pretty dope bio, okay? It's a bio he created. Pedro is a kuya to some, a Tito to most, a mover, shapeshifter from coast to coast, co-founder of Bubble Tea, founder of Continuous Play, serving my communities by way of beats, Sayan.
Oh my god.
Sayawan.
Saiwaya. Thank you guys. I didn't know there was a Filipino in this bio. Crap. All right. And of course, and supporting all things Filipino X. So let's welcome Pedro in the house.
Hi. Hey, y'all.
I'm adding the clapping thing.
Oh my gosh.
Post.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing, Pedro?
I'm doing okay. I got my cheap champagne in one hand, ready to go. Something to take the edge off. Really excited to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Well, thank you for making time.
And don't worry, we're
Yeah.
usually drinking anyway, so you just fit in perfectly.
Okay, good.
So I already finished mine.
Yeah. Cheap wine and Gamcha doesn't get much better
Love
than that.
it.
Justin.
Love it.
So Pedro, let's talk about like a little bit about your background. Okay, you've been on like West Coast, East Coast, West Coast, East Coast. I don't know how many times up throughout the United States, right? You lived everywhere.
Yeah, too much, basically.
But you started out in Seattle, right?
No, so let me take a couple steps back. I was born in the Philippines.
What?
y'all know.
Where at?
Yeah, Cavite. So we migrated to Hawaii because my mom's sister was already there. So my mom's sister helped petition for us to go to the States through Hawaii. So we lived in Hawaii for a little bit and then ended up in a little town called Lacey, Washington, which is like a suburb, the next town over from Olympia, Washington. So
There was like a big Filipino community in Washington, right?
yeah, we did. A huge one. And I think that's what was so neat about it is because like, in the 80s, it did seem like it was a very predominantly white kind of neighborhood and all that. But there was a really strong Filipino community. And it was dope. And it's really like that tribe mentality, right? For migrating and all that. So, from the Philippines, my family, I have like 3 brothers and 1 sister, kind of like a big family, really tight-knit and everything. Moved to Hawaii through family as well. And then just got connected to like all the other Filipinos in Hawaii and eventually the Filipinos in Washington State. And then, we really, really got help from the community here in our transition. I moved out of my apartment like when I was like 17, and I ended up moving to Seattle first, just for like a summer, because my first career was actually I was a ballet dancer. So
what?
I ended up moving to Seattle by way of.
Wait! Hold up here.
Hold up! Yeah.
A Filipino like ballet dancer? What?
Mm-hmm. Well, growing up, obviously, like dance is like a big thing in Filipino culture, right? You're
like hip hop. How did you get to ballet?
Yeah, so you're in like a hip hop group. You're singing. You're doing all of that. And in high school, I ended up like doing like theater, and it was just because our high school was doing South Pacific, so they needed like they needed some diversity. Some shit.
Sorry,
so
I was like, we need someone brown.
We need some brown people. Yeah. So then like of course all the brown people in the school like auditioned for it, and then
get that role.
Yeah, and so just kind of like stepped into the theater world through high school. So I was always a dancer, and then did a little bit of theater, and then after I graduated high school, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but dance was obviously like a big thing, but I never really took it like professionally or anything like that. So I ended up going to Cornish College of the Arts for like a summer dance program, and I had no idea that it was like mad serious and all that kind of shit, whatever. I just thought, oh, it's cute, take some dance classes, and I get to Seattle, and it was a full-on like summer intensive dance program, like because it's in a college, and I feel like they always accept guys because they always need guys, so I didn't even audition. I just like sent them a photo and all this kind of stuff.
Wait,
and then
so like just because we're guys we could just get in? Should we apply, guys?
Yeah, you should totally apply. Yeah. No, babe, you're too old now.
Oh
no, so then
get all ageist on me, huh?
Okay.
I'll probably end up like an usher or something. So like, oh yeah, here, show them to the seats. Stuff like, okay, fine.
I'll show up and they'll be like, which one is your kid?
Whoa.
So you just jumped right into it, huh, Pedro?
Yeah, so I like did the program, and it was crazy because I knew like the classes I had to take, and ballet was one of them, and I didn't even like have my ballet slippers fully intact or like sewn on like with the elastic and everything. I just like showed up, and the teacher tried to help me like fix my shoes and all that. It was really cute. But yeah, so I just kind of like dove into it, and then I just really fell in love with the discipline of ballet. Like I just really got into it, like how like the structure and all that. So I ended up I don't know, just really getting into it, and I ended up meeting a ballet master that was from like Vancouver, Canada, and he was like, hey, so do you want to like learn more about ballet and all that kind of stuff? And I was just like, sure. And so I ended up moving to Vancouver, Canada to go to this like ballet like it's really small like ballet conservatory, and basically he was like, look, I can work with you, and I can like groom you to really like get into like a better school and all that kind of stuff if you're really serious about ballet. And yeah, I took him up on it, and my family was just like, I guess this is kind of weird. And then like he found me like a host family that I lived with in Vancouver, Canada, and I trained with him for about 3 months, where I like only took ballet for like 4 to 6 hours a day, and he really trained me to just condition my body to really look like a really good ballet dancer and really teach me the technique. And then from there, I ended up doing really well. Like I auditioned for like all these other schools. I ended up getting in on scholarship, and ended up going to like Roy Winnipeg Ballet, and eventually at Cleveland Ballet. So that was kind of like the beginning of like my dance career.
Wow, when you jump in, you like jump in.
Yo, it's all or nothing.
Was your family that supportive?
They were. So that the ballet master, he really had a conversation with my parents and was just like, I don't know, somehow convinced them that this is like a good thing, and I didn't even have to pay. Like I was like on full scholarship. The only thing I had to pay for was lodging. And he found me a host family that I lived with, that he used to teach like the daughter like ballet as well. So yeah, it was kind of just like a weird kind of just like happened. I totally didn't even plan it at all. Like, so here I am, like just turned 18, Vancouver, Canada, you know, going to ballet. You know?
Okay, you know what? All that's missing in that story was like a love interest, and it could have been like Save the Last Dance 2 or something. It was like the guy version, because that's like I did not know that that was your background.
Yeah, that was my first like career, was trying to become a professional dancer. So, but the thing was, like, I didn't grow up in ballet, so, and that's a really specific culture, right?
Yeah.
The way like the teachers are and everything. So it was all very new to me, and a lot of it I didn't really agree with, and it was really hard for me to fit in. And I'm also like brown, I'm short, I'm like 5'6", and like, usually in America, typical like ballet dancer, you gotta be like hella tall. Yeah, like there's a whole like specific body type that they look for in like classical ballet. But I managed to find a company in Cleveland Ballet where their actual company was really diverse, and they had people from like Cuba, from Philippines, Japan. Like it was like this dope ass like diverse cast, and my ballet master like kind of hooked me up with that school and was basically like, this is a place where you might be able to like really dance professionally at. That's when I ended up in like Cleveland Ballet on scholarship, and basically becoming like an apprentice and doing like Nutcracker and all that kind of shit in their like ballet company.
I just got a visual of you and Nutcracker. Sorry. Sorry, I just saw you like in tights, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, honey, get into it. I was fit, girl. Like my body was stacked. Oh my god, when you're like dancing like that many hours a day, like it's just like dope. But like I said, like I was really new to the ballet world, so I definitely had like a lot of issues with the culture and everything. So I ended up quitting ballet altogether.
Wait, before, like the culture. Wait, what do you mean by culture? Like to quit something because the culture wasn't the right fit. I mean, that must have been drastically different.
With ballet, it's kind of like one of those things where your body's your instrument, right? You have to really take care of your body. You can't like have tattoos and all that kind of shit. You have to look marketable. You have to look like you can get casted.
Just so everybody knows, you have tattoos on your neck. So
I do, yes.
Correct.
Yeah, and I remember like I was like, I wanted to like get a piercing and all that kind of shit, and the only one I could get was like on my tongue. So I like got a tongue piercing while I was in ballet, just to like feel rebellious and all that. But yeah, so I don't know, like there was something about that culture where they really strip you down of like your almost like your identity to be able to like really fit into the ballet mold and all that, to be able to like to be part of that whole world, the ballet world. I just had issues with that, So I ended up quitting ballet, but of course like, dance was like something that I really was passionate about, and I ended up seeing Alvin Ailey American Dance Center like perform when I was in Cleveland, and I was just like, okay, well I can let me at least try like contemporary dance and all that kind of shit. So I actually auditioned for them in Cleveland, and I managed to get accepted, and I got a scholarship, and that's what sent me to New York City first. So I got a scholarship to Alvin Ailey American Dance Center, super excited, and I moved to New York City, 1997.
Is the ballet scene like queer friendly?
Oh yeah, it's hella gay. Are you kidding?
So I make sure.
Yeah, very very queer friendly, but it's competitive as fuck. Like it's just really really competitive, and that's another thing that I wasn't really prepared for, is like how competitive it was, and like what it can really do to you mentally. How I ended up like developing like body issues and all that kind of shit. Because like for me being like short, it was just like if I gained any weight, I'd look even shorter. So I had to look as lean as possible. But I ended up moving to New York City and then going to Alvin Ailey American Dance Center for like about a year and a half. I tried it for like a year and a half.
That's huge. That's awesome.
It was fun. It was hardcore. Like I was like going to class 5 hours a day dancing, and I even had a full-time job in New York City. I would basically get up at like 6 a.m., get to school about like by 8 a.m. so I could warm up for an hour and start dancing at 9 a.m. and then have dance classes for 4 hours, and then I had like academic classes for a couple hours, and then I'd go straight to the West Village, and I worked at the original Magnolia Bakery, and I worked there from like, I think I started at like 6 p.m. till like midnight.
So you pretty much like tortured yourself. Like I can't eat
I
anything,
fucking
but
tortured-
I'm gonna work at a place that just would like tempt me every day.
Wow, what does that say about me? Oh my god.
You're a masochist? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Wow, it's very clear. Yeah, so that's how I ended up in New York City.
So after you quit dancing, right? What made you finally say I'm not going to continue on? 'Cause that's hard. Because you've been in like how many years now, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah, like from 17 and then up to like age, I think I was like 22. Yeah, I think about 22, 23. I think it, I love dance. That's like my passion and everything. But it definitely is one of those careers where you have to commit 24 hours a day to that type of career. Like there is no part-time. You cannot be a part-time dancer. Like, so you like I said, it was like your body's your instrument and all that kind of shit, right? You have to live, eat, breathe, die for it. And I couldn't commit to that. Another issue that I have, non-committal. Oh my god, it's all coming out today.
Out, yes.
Holy shit.
That's our Gam chat.
Oh my god. No, but I was just, I think like being in New York City and just like, there's so much creative shit going on. I just like wanted to do so many different things. So that's why I was like, I can't just do dance. I want to do so much other stuff. So then that's when I ended up just like quitting dance altogether and changing careers.
Wow, okay, Mr. Shapeshifter. You were not kidding when you put that in
I told you, yo.
And then what's after dance? What was the...
So then, I had a conversation with my mom. It's funny because she was like, she needed me to get like a trade skill, because she knew I was like creative and everything, but she wanted to make sure I had some kind of trade so I can like have a like job. During the time I was like training for like ballet and everything, she was like, well, why don't you go to school for hair? Because I used to do my mom's hair when I was a kid. Like I used to, like, before we would go to like Filipino parties, I would basically go into her closet and I would pick out her outfit down to the shoes, and I would put her hair in rollers. I would like do her hair and everything. Like I was like her weird like personal stylist. So she had the idea of me going to cosmetology school. She thought that I could do it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing that kind of shit, like for like my mom and my friends and everything. So I went to beauty school while I was in ballet school. And it was like part-time, and it was dope. Like I went to this school that was like an African American hair school, so I actually learned how to work with African American hair. I did like the hot iron, and I did all like the updos and the banana curls. This was like the era of like Aaliyah and like that whole like time period. So my banana curls were like fierce. I had like the whole like curl going down, and I really enjoyed that. But when it came down to like cutting hair, I would just like freeze, because like there's like no going back when you like cut hair, right?
It's a commitment. You have to commit again.
Oh my god, it's all coming very clear. Holy shit.
Wow.
Yo. So I tried to do that and it just didn't work. But so I obviously had like other ideas and passions while I was in New York City. I was really into like fashion and all that, and I met a lot of stylists while I was there, and just like from clubbing and going to like raves and all that kind of stuff. I just met like so many dope creative people. So then I thought maybe like fashion's like an avenue that I can go to where I can like make mad money and whatever, and it's like still creative, and I actually still really like it. So then I ended up moving back to Seattle, because my parents were like, okay, well, if you're gonna go to art school to do like fashion or whatever, we'll support you as long as you move back to like your home state, right?
Ooh.
So I was just like, fuck, because I wanted to go to school in New York, obviously, but I can't do that like on my own. So that's when I ended up moving back to Seattle for like a few years, and I went to the Art Institute and I studied fashion design. Yeah, I got my degree and was really, really into it. And then I moved back to New York and started working in fashion. That was like my next career.
Yeah, and you've designed for a lot of big names too. You're like the Asian hustle, Like
Yeah, hell the fuck yeah. It's all about the motherfucking hustle. Yeah, I was like blessed. I ended up having the opportunity to design for the Gap for 7 years. And I designed for Gap Body Women's, which was great because it was sort of in the world of dance. So I designed like a lot of like sleep and loungewear, so like sweats and all that kind of stuff. I was lucky enough to be there when like the whole activewear thing exploded. So I got to be part of the team that started Gap Fit, all that activewear shit, and it was just like the perfect thing for me because I used to be a dancer, so I understood a lot of like the fabrics and the stretch fabric and all that, and like how it needs to feel on the body, and I was able to like really talk about it and design it right for a body and all that. So that was like, I feel really, really lucky that I really fell into that niche of that category in fashion.
From what you're telling me, it seems like your family was absolutely supportive of your choices.
Yeah.
Did that shape your mentality of exploring all these creative avenues that you have available to you because you had your family behind you?
Yes, I am so blessed, and I feel absolutely lucky that I had that support from my family. From a young age, I was always into like creative shit all the time. Like, when I was in like grade school, middle school, I was in a Filipino hip hop group, like I was like dancing and all that, and I was just really into art. It was cute because it was like, my family never get mad at like the shit that I was doing or put pressure on me to do anything else. They really supported me in like anything I wanted to do. I did a lot of different type of shit growing up as a kid. Like if it had to do with art, I was into it, whatever it was. Like, and I like art was like my favorite subject at school, and I just feel super lucky that my parents let me do it and just supported me, and was there, and it wasn't like extra or anything. They were just like, okay, sure, try that, and they just like really allowed me to, they just gave me this like safe space to just really try a lot of different things, and they were all creative things, I definitely feel lucky for that.
I can see there's like this joy about you. It comes out, and I think it has something to do with the fact that you didn't feel stifled. You had this freedom to be who you really are.
Yeah.
And I can see that.
Yeah, it's because my mom, like my mom was that fierce ass Filipino woman who like always had a job. She worked in Iran as a nurse, in the Philippines. No, she was like the hustler. She like really did it all. And so I really looked up to that. And she was this like strong female kind of presence like in our home, and she really supported me, and she really gave me the confidence to try. And I know she knew that I struggled with being like gay and all that kind of stuff, but we never really talked about that like as a kid. She was just always there and would just like encourage me. Oh, is that what you want to do? Okay, go ahead, do it. If that's what you want, just do it. It was just really that. And so I was just like, okay, all like shy, and it's all because my mom's, and my dad was like, he was like that really quiet dad figure, but never commented on me being like effeminate or like all that kind of stuff, because like when I was a kid, it was very clear that I was like hella bakla. Like it was just very, very clear. There was no going way around it. And like, I have memories with my dad where he knew that about me. Every Christmas, he would always get me like a stuffed animal because that's like all I wanted. He never like forced any other like G.I. Joe or like whatever. And I had 3 hardcore, like very masculine, like hyper masked brothers and all that. But with me, he listened, and he was like, Junior, what do you want for Christmas? I just want a stuffed animal. And he would get me that like every year, and he just like was there for me that way. And I have all these really beautiful memories of me and him watching TV. Like we loved watching cartoons together every morning. And we also really loved watching ballroom dancing together. Like, those ballroom dancing like competitions?
Yes. Those are so good.
That was like our thing. And like he would sit there and like watch that with me, and I loved like watching like figure skating and all that, and he would just sit there and like watch that with me as well. And I would like I had this like robe that I loved, and I would pretend it was like a dress and everything. And so like when it was like ice skating, I would just like dance around the living room as if I'm like the the beautiful ice skater in like a really pretty dress with my robe on and everything. And he just like let me,
Wow.
It was never like, what are you doing, or like encourage me too much. He just let me. Like there was no conversation about it. He just really just like let me be me, and I never understood. Like it was dope, but it was confusing because like at home I had this safe space, right, where my mom was this very strong Pinay, my dad was like this strong like supportive guy that never mentioned anything about like me being gay. But then once I leave the house, I had to fucking deal with being gay, with going to school, you know, being called faggot and all that kind of stuff. So it was like a weird thing, but I feel grateful that in my home, I felt super, super safe. Yeah. My brothers never, ever called me faggot or anything like that. They would call each other faggots and call their friends faggots, but they never would call me that. They just, like, knew.
Did you ever ask your family as to, like, what made them so open and embracing and supportive of you? Because your stories... Like, I was thinking about everyone in our community. We were always shamed by at least one relative or got one remark. And that has dictated, like, our course in life because we were shamed of who we are.
Absolutely.
So I was just kind of curious. Did you ask your mom or your dad, like, how were you so, I don't know, supportive?
I never had that conversation with them because it was never an issue in our house. I didn't feel the need that I had to ask. Yeah. It was just a weird thing that I just had to deal with on my own. Like, so even when we go to Filipino parties and the titas or whatever, like, and you hear those terms like bakla ba, you know, like all those kind of like things, you know, they really love to point out how much of a faggot you are. The obvious, like whatever you are, if you're like really quiet or like really femme and all that. I never had that conversation with my parents. I didn't feel like I needed to. I just felt grateful that, okay, I'm at this party and people like are like calling me out on this kind of shit, but it's okay because I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be fine, you know? Yeah. So I just learned how to deal with it on my own.
Yeah, you know what's really dope about this is that it's good that we see, you know, people in our community of like what it looks like when you come from a very supportive family.
Yeah.
You know, and then how much things you could accomplish in the world if you have that supportive family, like just loving you just exactly who you are.
Yeah.
This is dope.
It is dope. And I'm just so grateful because I've done a million things. You already know, Greg. I like the list goes on, you know, because I always like, I want to do the most. I want to make like the most out of life. If I want to try something, my parents always encourage me to just fucking try it. Like, who cares? If you fail, you fail. Whatever. At least you tried it, you know? Yeah. So it was always very much like a do you kind of mentality. As long as you're happy and also as long as you have health benefits. It always came down to that. It always came down to that. That'll never change, yo. As long as you're happy, but make sure you have health benefits, okay? You just need benefits, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. So, my mom keeps telling me to call my cousins and be like, tell them who don't have health insurance, like, ask them to get Obamacare. Get Obamacare.
Yo, it's a priority. Like, you know?
Let's transition to later because you also shapeshift into a DJ.
Yeah.
From like designer to like DJ.
You know what? Like music, it's just always been there, right? You know, as a kid, being Filipino, music is always around. Like my family had instruments. We all played an instrument as kids. My dad played the guitar. He sang all the time. He always sang Dean Martin and like the Platters that was always playing. And we would sing together as kids. Like, so music was always like a thing, right? And then in the 80s, of course, the whole DJ explosion thing happened. And, you know, you go to a Filipino party, there's always that one, like, Tito that's always, like, bringing in the records and DJing and everything. And my Tito, his name was Conrad. So we called him Tito Rad. And I was obsessed with him because he played the dopest music all the time. He always played, like, the dopest freestyle. He really introduced me to that world. You know, in the late 80s, like freestyle, hip-hop, R&B, all of that, and I was just, like, obsessed with him. So I've always had, like, music in me, just from growing up with music.
Yeah, music is... My brother was a DJ, too. Probably what his name was. DJ... I don't know, I just call him DJ Kuya.
DJ Kuya, cute.
No, I'm sorry, I used to call him DJ Kuya PhD, because he got a PhD.
So. Okay, you better represent. You're like, I need to call this out, because he did that. That's cute.
He did nothing with that. But you know, like young Filipinos, you just gotta like keep learning, right? Get that, try to find that healthcare wherever you can.
For sure. get that degree.
It sounds like that's a natural transition dance.
Right.
You get into fashion, and fashion is obviously like inspired by music. So it looks like it was like a natural progression for you.
Yeah, it's all hella connected, but it's also, I feel like it's very Filipino culture, you know? It's not like it was never a weird thing. We just all did it, you know, as Filipino youth, as Filipino teenagers, as Filipino adults. We just are always constantly surrounded by music, dance, performance, all of that. We live for that.
Pedro, did you know that I was in a dance crew?
You were in a dance crew? Wait, what was the name of your crew?
I was in one of those like 90s dance crew, you know, when all the Filipino crews were like battling.
Yeah.
And we were good, damn it. At least I like to tell
What
myself.
was the name? What was the name of your crew?
NLV, the next level.
Yo, the next level. Not just next
like,
level. The
next level, yeah. But it's interesting because, like, you're right. Like, in all Filipino communities, there is, like, music, there's art, there's performance.
Yeah. I remember being, as a kid, we would go to our cousin's house because they had, like, cable and shit, and they were able to get to watch like Eat Bulaga, like all, you know, these like shows from the Philippines, these like variety shows, and we would record it like on the VHS and then take it home.
What?
VHS?
What is that? I'm too young.
VHS? I hate you.
Let me Google. I'm trying to find Google. What is
this bitch is...
Alexa, what's VHS?
Oh my god. Yes. So we would like, as kids, we would watch Eat Bulaga, the variety show, and see like the dance performances.
Wait, what's that?
I know, I triggered it. I actually triggered it. Go, no, we're good.
I heard something.
Yeah, D actually got his Alexa to tell him what a VHS was.
Oh my god!
And even Alexa
really
didn't know
went
what
there.
it was. It's that.
I didn't know. Wow.
Alexa was like, BHS or bitches? Which one you like? Which one you want to know? The BHS?
I loved you then, I love you now, and I will continue loving you until I can no longer.
You took a part of me until I had nothing left.
The old me had to die so the new me could be reborn.
I didn't deserve that pain. I deserve love, just not from her.
Today, I choose myself.
I wanted to tell you, but you weren't there.
These are the stories that I wish you heard. Streaming weekly episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
So Pedro, like recently, you've been known to help start or co-found Bubble Tea. What is Bubble Tea?
Bubble Tea is a party. It's a collective. We're Asians coming together and having a fucking bomb-ass time. Celebrating each other on a positive note. We're dancing and all that.
So a Bubble Tea is like happening in every household that's gay. I'm having a Bubble Tea right now.
Yes,
I love it. Well,
yeah.
Okay, so the party is in New York, right?
Yeah, the party was born in New York City. Yeah.
So how did it evolve to what people know it for?
It really started like, so my homie Carlo, who is a good friend of mine, he's Filipino, also from Hawaii as well. We're just like homies in New York, and he was just one of those homies that I'd always see out and everything. You know, we would always be out in like white spaces, you know, and just be like talking shit about the music and like, what the fuck is this shit, you know, like we just like always talk about like, man, we should like do our own shit, like, you know, it's like listen to the music that we want to listen to and all that. It really just like kind of started like friends kind of like kind of talking about like wanting to do something for ourselves, right?
I was just kind of thinking, like, there's so many times when, like, for example, when I go to West Hollywood, or like, you know, the gay spaces, the neighborhoods, and you want to hear some good music, and then you're like, it's all like circuit parties kind of like vibes, and you're like,
for real.
I mean, I used to try to look for all the lesbian clubs in LA because they always play like really good music from like hip hop
and all that kind of shit. Yeah, like, so that's so you get it. I mean, that's like that was my world. I was really into like hip hop and R&B, and you know, in New York City, of course, there's a lot of places where you can hear that, and they're like predominantly like Latino spaces or African American spaces and all that. You know, we just kind of like were realizing there's not really like a place for like API people like really congregate and like hang out, you know, and like a for us by us kind of moment. I mean, the only, like, when I was living in New York City in the late 90s, early 2000s, the only Asian club that I had ever heard of was called The Web, and it was in Midtown Manhattan. And I had heard about it, and I was just like, oh, dope, I'm gonna go to The Web. I'm Asian, gay, blah, blah, blah. So I would go there a couple times, and it was really weird. It was not what I expected, because I'm coming from the West Coast. I'm very used to, like, going to, like, hip-hop, POC, Asian, API places from San Francisco and LA. Like, we just had them here in the West Coast. In New York, I've never really seen that space, specifically for API communities. But yeah, the web was like the only place that you can go to if you wanted to see other queer APIs.
Well, you said there's no spaces other than the web. Why is that?
I don't know. Like, I really was longing for it and looked for it because just from the experience that I had, in San Francisco and LA, and from the era of like Gam for Gam and all of that. I really looked for that. I don't know if it's because of, like, migration, like how on the West Coast people have been here longer. Maybe that has something to do with it, where they've built communities for years and years and years. So they've built that shit already. They've built like the Asian communities, and after that built the like queer Asian POC communities. And I didn't see that. And this is just my experience personally. And I actually ended up working at the web.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Wait, can you describe the web for us? Is it still around?
No, it's no longer around. It was in the Midtown, and the web, when I went there, and it was dope because they had a lot of like drag performances that were like Asian Pacific Islanders, and they were like full on productions with 20 dancers. Like, it was very much like I was watching Itbulaga, the Philippines, like on stage. It was very much that very circuity kind of music and all that. They did have a hip hop room, so I was usually like in that space. So when I discovered it, I was like, oh, maybe I can work here, because I was like dancing at the time, and I was like, I'm looking kind of cute, my body's kind of fit right now, like maybe I can get a job here. Yes. And I went there, and I got hired. I was a Jello shot boy there. So that was
I got shot. So you pass around Jello molds.
Yeah, so I walk around with a big platter, and it was like $1, like Jello shots or something.
Did anyone actually buy that? I never bought those. Did people?
Yeah, people bought them.
I have.
You never bought that?
Yes, I have.
I have.
It's fun.
It's cheap.
It's always like towards the end when you're like, I'm drunk already, so let me.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
It's coming up. Let me guess. Let me get more.
So I did that.
Wow, shapeshifter! You went from ballet dancer, fashion designer, and then to like a
Jello
shot guy. Did you wear it around your waist too? Did you have like a little thing?
No, girl. No, but this
I need some visuals here. Sorry.
No, this is the time when I was actually trying to be a dancer. So it was like a part-time gig that I was like trying to get. But it was funny because like they were like, okay, you're hired, but come in at like 5 p.m. And I was like, 5 p.m.? I thought this was like a dance club or like kind of shit. So I showed up at like 5 p.m. and I guess like when it's like right after like work and all that, they had like a specific clientele.
Uh-oh.
And then they had like strippers and all that, and like go-go dancers and all that for this clientele, which is basically like old and white men from
Okay,
from,
I'll let you better say it.
Yo, let me just break it down. So I walked in and I was just like, oh, okay, it's like that.
It was never really API space. It was more of like to cater to everyone else's, but let's get them in here to kind of be the surface. I mean, I'm guessing that's what that is. Yeah,
it was. I mean, that was my takeaway. It was owned by a white person, and hence the name The Web. It like all kind of came together to me. I was just like, oh my god, they're like building this web to kind of like have all these like API dudes here and sort of capture them and like have them available, for men who love them.
Oh my god,
that was creepy. That gave me chills.
Right?
Yeah, it's like, how do we catch them and make them stay so they can't leave?
Yeah, that was my fucking takeaway.
Which is, like,
I was
so
like, what the
gross.
fuck?
A web that's all white.
Yeah. But you know, it was
Oh.
weird because like I was excited about it because there were a lot of like APIs that went there,
Yeah.
but they were not gam for gam. They were not about dating, you know, other Asian Pacific Islander people.
Yeah.
They were there to find their like white savior prince, you know, and vice versa, you know, like the white.
You know, I think I remember I did have that feeling when I first went to New York. It was that like I'm just gonna
Yo,
into it.
get into
It was
it.
like very tokenized. Like, oh, there's
Yes.
that one Asian guy in a group
Yeah.
of like 4 or 5 white guys, and that's how.
Yeah.
And then me and my friends were just like, okay, well, we don't have any white folks with us, so like, who is like, you know, kind of like manning us? Like, it felt that way. Where like,
Yeah.
Where do we go from here? Because no one is like almost like a like standing up for us in a way. But that's how I felt when I did go to New York at one point.
Yo, dude, that was very much my experience, you know, and it was weird coming from the West Coast where it was the completely opposite for me.
Yeah.
You know, the like the queer experience that I had, you know, between like 18 and 21 on the West Coast, it was very different. And so that was like a weird thing that I was like, what the fuck? Like, how do I fit into this?
I know exactly what you mean because I did go to the web once and I felt like I didn't belong. Because I came from the world of Oz and Buena Park, where I had my own community
Yeah.
and I felt welcome and I felt embraced.
Yeah.
But the web was like different.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. This whole time I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, he's right.
Like, no one would talk to me. It was like this weird, it was almost as if like we were just all competing for that like white savior prince. Like we're all, you know what I mean? And I wanted to like meet the community. I wanted to like meet it, but I don't know if I didn't meet the right people, but I was not successful in like making friends in this space. And like, and when I would see, you know, some Asian APIs in groups or whatever, but they were all kind of like, it was almost as if they just knew each other for like so long. They weren't really open to like meeting new people, which was so different from the culture that I experienced on the West Coast, where it was very much like, who are you? Come here, come talk to us. Da da da. Where you from? Da 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 da. It was a weird thing, and yeah. So I started off as a Jello shot guy while they had like this clientele come in, and then it would switch into club mode and all that, and all the people were kind of like pouring in, and I kind of got sick of doing Jello shots, so I asked the manager, I was like, dude, I don't want to do this shit no more. Like, is there another job that I can do? And they're like, oh, you can do coat check. I was like, fierce, let me do it. So I ended up doing coat check for the rest of the night. And I just like felt so gross from that like experience and everything. I just like fucking just pocketed that money. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just gonna like take these people's money. I'm gonna like keep it. And I'm gonna make my coins. And after that night, I like never went back. I never like went back to that job.
I think we pretty much have that collective experience. It's the same space still in West Hollywood. You know, you've gone to, what is it, Game Boy.
Yeah.
Pretty much you're still surrounded by non-POCs where it's kind of like, felt like, are they competing with each other for the eyes of,
Yeah.
you know, these people? So it took a while for us to have that safe space as well. Like, I mean, the furthest thing that I would go to with McCoy is Oz, because that was, you know, that was the drag scene. That's where Raja started, Delta work, and then at the same time we were in the hip hop rooms, and then like you would go to, you know, like Asian Denny's and Latino Denny's. It was like, you know, we made our own safe space. And I to be honest, even though we frequented West Hollywood, I never, you know, felt that same community there. It was always like almost like a competition with each other.
Most definitely.
Well, because I think it's like Gam for Gam chat room in Oz.
Yeah.
Everyone in that chat room showed up pretty much.
Yeah.
So
the people who own these clubs and these spaces are all white gay males, right?
Yeah. You know, it's not surprising that it's like it sort of breeds that type of culture.
Yeah.
But you know, I have to say that I feel like grateful and lucky that I was part of Gam for Gam culture, you know, like during that era. And like, so
wait, you tell us remind us what your screen name was.
Oh, I didn't have it because I didn't have a computer.
What?
I was in ballet school, girl. I was broke as fuck. I didn't have no money.
I don't have time for this. The CD was free.
Yeah, but you know what? Who introduced me is like my best friend at the time. He introduced me to the whole like GAM for GAM, like, you know, culture and all that, and it was dope, and I'm grateful for that. And that kind of led to him taking me down to San Francisco to Club Faith. I don't know if y'all remember going to Club Faith. So that was it. Like, I would come home during the holidays from ballet school and like hang out with my best homie in Seattle, and he was telling me about this club in Faith, and we would drive all the way down from like Seattle all the way down to San Francisco just to fucking go to Club Faith. And it was like this dope hip-hop, R&B, POC, Asian like nightclub, and it was like everything. And I like had exposure to, you know, GAM for GAM culture and all that, and which was like awesome.
And then fast forward to I guess more recently, right? Is that all this experience was that one of the reasons why you created, like, you and your collective created Bubble Tea?
Yeah, I mean, so it was always just kind of an idea that we just kind of all threw around and everything. But it was really when Obama left office. It was really that moment where we all really felt so defeated and just like, what the fuck are we gonna do, you know? And just everything just, I don't know, it was just like this like mood and feeling of everything moving backwards. And that's when, you know, me and my friends who are like the co-founders, we were just like, let's just throw a party for ourselves, you know, let's just like do something. It was just really like that reaction to Trump being in office, just like felt horrible and lost. You know, it was never like this huge intention of like shifting culture or anything like that. It was just like a group of friends coming together. Let's celebrate ourselves. Let's have a party. Let's come together and dance, listen to music we want to listen to, and bring in our homies and, you know, who we want to hang out with. That's really what it came down to. And we just happened to stumble across like a bar that was just relatively new. Shout out to the Rosemont. Troy, who was a manager there, we were kind of like letting him know like, oh, we kind of want to throw a party here, and he just was just like, yeah, you could just do that here. And so that's when we threw our first bubble tea, you know, and it was just a beautiful thing because it was just like, you know, at least just do something for ourselves. We know the world feels like it's crumbling and all this shit is going down, and we can at least come together as homies. Not even like community, it was just like friends and homies coming together. I was really into music, so I was like, yeah, I want to play music because I want to hear freestyle. I want to hear Jocelyn Enriquez, you know, on the motherfucking speakers. You know, I want to hear hip hop and R&B. So I kind of like decided to just play music, and it wasn't like I wanted to be a DJ. I just wanted to like play music that I wanted to hear and everything. And everyone else just kind of like chipped in with like decorations, a flyer, and just inviting all our friends to come together. And then our homie Carlo performed as Bichon, as her drag persona. Yeah, and then we had our very first bubble tea party.
Were you surprised or not surprised of how popular it got?
Oh, super surprised. I mean, when we thought of doing it, it was really just, you know, homies coming together. We didn't really think of it like any further than that. We just wanted to just hang out and take some time to just have a good time. That was really, really it. We just wanted to have a good time. You know, our other homie made the flyer, and our first flyer was like these images that are come from like karaoke culture, you know, that look very like dramatic and all that. And even like the typography and the text looked like you were watching a karaoke video. So it kind of lended to a space for like Asians, you know, that can connect to. Because, you know, we all sing karaoke and everything. It was dope. And like I remember like when we were getting ready for the party, we were like, what if no one comes? You know, we're like, oh my god, we're like having this like cute party, and we're just like, who cares? Who fucking cares? Let's just fucking do this for us and just like have a good fucking time. And we were surprised because people came out, you know. People came out, and we were like, who are these people? You know, who are these Asians? We've never seen them before, you know. Because like me And the crew, we're like the titas, we're like the aunties and everything, and all of all of a sudden all these younger youth queer APIs came out to come party with us.
Yeah, I witnessed in social media. At first, it was like, oh, okay, Pedro's posting things after he left LA. Okay, he's doing this now. And then one thing that popped in my head was I was listening to another podcast. It's a POC, Podcast of Color. Mm-hmm. And one of them is Filipino. He would always go to New York and he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Bubble Tea. And I'm like, wait, Bubble Tea? And then the other folks from that podcast would join him and they just it was always welcoming in that party.
Dope.
It was so inclusive that everyone enjoyed it. And to me, that was okay, this is getting big out there that everyone knows. Even in the West Coast, if you're going to New York, I'm gonna go. When's the next Bubble Tea event?
Word, I love
that's
that.
what got a wind of it. I was like, this is bigger than a safe space between friends now.
Yeah, it definitely evolved into that. Yeah. And even from the first night, we kind of just looked around. We're like, wow, there's something really special here.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because there really was nowhere else that you can go to where you can see other API faces and a party that was thrown by other API people.
Yeah.
You go to these other spaces that were not API, they may have an Asian theme kind of bullshit type situation, but you never felt oh shit, our homies are putting this on.
Yeah.
It was never, you never really got that.
It's so interesting because I remember back in the day we used to have tons of parties that are API queer.
Yeah.
And I just thought that need was only for back then.
Yeah.
And to hear this about how big the Bubble Tea was, it's that just shows that we have to continue to make safe spaces for creativity, music, and all that.
Yeah, it's true. For us, it was really just a group of friends, right? And then when we realized there were so many young people that were coming in and just thanking us, they're like, oh my gosh, thank you for having this. I've never seen this before, in New York fucking city, right? They're like, I've never seen this. And we started to hear more and more stories of wow, for one night, I don't have to explain who I am. I don't have to explain where the fuck I'm from, I don't have to do anything but look at another person who's API, smile, and dance. We didn't even have to talk or figure each other out. It was just magical place where we can just be ourselves. And that's when we were okay, this is beyond us now. This is not just about a party for us coming together and having a good time. This is actually very much needed in our community. A lot of it obviously has to do with Trump being in office and everything and just feeling lost. It was it's the one thing they know they can hold on to. Oh, where's a group of APIs? Oh, there they are. Okay, at least I can see them. I'm gonna go and maybe introduce myself and hang out with them. It's that one thing that you can have in common with, right? Yeah. And then now here's this space where you walk in and they're everywhere.
This is dope because I almost felt when Trump was in office, people were scared to be API.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, right? Hate crimes against in Asian American communities went up.
Yeah.
And then you created a space that said, fuck, we're here. We're an API, and we're not going to apologize for it.
One thing I also appreciated is, again, I saw a lot of, social media. Me in photography, I love, someone, just brought their film camera and posted photos of the events. And it was really just... Okay, that commonality of APIs, but then these are the club kids would dress up next to someone who's just chill, sweats and jeans, and it was it was a niche safe space, but then really included everyone, no matter what your style was, no matter what your preference. You found that commonality that APIs, this is our safe space. It doesn't matter what you're into, how you're dressing, you're welcome out here. And that's one thing that I appreciated. The music would be my thing. I found something that I can relate to in the events that I've seen.
And I think you hit it right on the needle is the music.
Yeah.
Because we would have different types of music, I would play hip hop, R&B. Someone else would come in, would play pop. Also it was like a really good, diverse group of music, which really brought all the different types of API. So it wasn't just like the buff, API guys, that like circuit music. Yeah. It wasn't just the underground kids that were like club kids that like were into like more like underground club music, whatever. It wasn't just the b-boys, that love hip hop and all that. It brought everyone out. Yeah. It was insane. It was really, really cool. And I have to give credit to all the DJs that we would bring in, because we would always try to have like different types of sounds and all that. People would come up to me and like, oh, can you play this and this and this? And I'm like, no, that's not my vibe. I'm going to play my vibe. But then hearing that, I'm like, okay, let me do some research and try to find an API DJ that's their vibe, Okay, let's bring them in, and then once we started doing that and having like, different types of diverse DJs, it just kept, evolving even more with the different types of APIs that come. So it was just, to me, I've never seen anything like that. Even in like on the West Coast, I was like, wow, okay. Like on the West Coast, I would go to like, hip hop and R&B, like API spaces. But here you have hip hop, R&B, drum and bass, house music, club, K-pop, all in one like roof. And you can see it in all the like the photographs, and like on our Instagram and everything. And it's just like, that's when we were like, holy shit, this is insane and so fucking awesome. Everyone whose API can come, no matter what their background, no matter what kind of music they want to listen to, no matter if they're, trans, gay, lesbian, like drag, whatever, artists, like it, all in one room.
Wow, so McCoy could go too?
Well, actually, okay. My concern was, we were talking about this, was, is there space for people of my age group?
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
But then you kind of answer that by saying you were the titas and the titos, but you had all this younger API show up and party with you because it was about music bringing everyone together. So you just answered my question that yes, there's space for me at your event because it's supposed to be for everyone.
Absolutely.
Right?
Like,
so, and you can again, Mako, you can see that visually because again, we're so used to like West Hollywood where it's just like it's almost like when
you're expired by the age of 30.
And then the picture here is like everyone. It almost like everyone knew everyone, but I highly doubt that was the case. But it was a mix of everyone.
It was a mix of everything, and I remember being nervous DJing when we got really, really big because I was just like, ain't nobody gonna want to hear what I'm gonna play. Like, I'm fucking old as fuck. I'm a Tito. I wanna listen to Jocelyn Enriquez, and I wanna listen to One Voice, and I wanna listen to Premiere. I wanna listen to Kai. I wanna hear all that. Like, is anybody even gonna care? But like, without a doubt, I'll put on One Voice. I'll put on whatever. All of a sudden, I see like these 5 Filipinos come up to the fucking DJ, be like, "Oh my god, you motherfucking play Pinay! You fucking play One Voice! What the fuck?" And they like freak out. So it's just like, okay, this is cute. Like, there's something for everyone.
I mean, you saying there's something for everyone. How did that now translate to you guys doing PS1 MoMA, Robin, Solange? I mean, it's like
I don't even know, honestly.
Club, party scene. Now, DJing for Robin. Like, how did we jump to that?
It was insane. Like, honestly, it was just like this train, that we just kept moving, and we were like, you wanna hop on a train, hop on. If you wanna hop on, we never seeked anything. People like just came to us. And I think that's what people appreciate about it is that the authenticity and we're really still doing it for us. But if you want to be part of the party, come right in. Like, come on in. Like, you can totally come dance with us. But still, it's about what we want. What we want to hear and all that kind of stuff. So with PS1 and all that like that. We had an opportunity to be part of this like they call it was like a back to school event that they do annually. And this year specifically was put on by this dope ass art collective called Disc Magazine. And what they decided to do was, because PS1 used to be a school, right? So they decided to reach out to all the underground collectives that are out there and like doing shit, whether if it's art, music, club, whatever it is, and give them a room to do whatever they want in it. We were fortunate enough that they invited us, and we're like, okay, cool, yeah, let's do it. So that was the first event that we did at PS1, and so we took our room, and we're like, what the fuck are we gonna do with our room? And we had like a whole type of, all different kinds of ideas. Like, we're like, oh, we could do mahjong, we could do this, da da da. Like, it was like a whole like thing. But in the end, we decided like, you know what? Let's fucking like have a karaoke room. Let's build this stage, and we're gonna fucking do karaoke. And in between songs, we'll play music. And it was dope. Like, our homie, Ben, he actually loaned us his whole, like, karaoke, like, equipment and everything, where you would be on stage singing karaoke, and you'll be filmed and having yourself be projected right behind you. So it was like, you could have your very own personal Beyonce moment. It was really, really cute. And so we did that, and it was, like, dope, and it was a fun-ass time. And I felt like people wanted to hang out in our room, you know, got it way better than all the other rooms and everything. Like, they had to like unplug us. Like, it was so fun. So that was like kind of our first like step into PS1. And the museum, they do an annual like Lunar New Year kind of like party. So when Lunar New Year was coming around, they had invited us to come and like, hey, do you want to like throw a Lunar New Year party here? And we're like, oh shit, sure. And you know, you have to remember, like, we're not like event planners. We don't like throw raves or anything like that. We were just a bunch of like designers that kind of came together. But we were stoked on the idea, and we really just reached out to our communities and got a lot of help from other people, and people like came through with visuals. We even partnered with Opening Ceremony at the time, and to create this like bomb ass space to celebrate like Lunar New Year. It was really, really special.
That's dope. Pedro, what do you think this means for like queer API communities, like not only in New York but all over? Like, what you guys did in New York, could that be done everywhere else? Could other communities do, queer API communities do it too?
Yeah, absolutely. They motherfucking can, you know? It's your, like you can create whatever space you want to do, whatever it is, you know. Ours just happens to be queer API. Yeah, most definitely you can do that in other spaces. And people, there have been like new collectives that are like being created now. Like our extended family in Toronto, New Ho Queen, shout out. You know, to like Rice Cakes in Vancouver, shout out. To Q&A based in Los Angeles, shout out to them. To like Club Koi in Miami, shout out to them. They're like now everywhere.
Wait, what's happening? These collectives are all over and they're starting to do their own thing?
Yeah.
Well, tell me more about that. Are they like hosting events? Is that what the plan is from all over the world? Like,
yeah, even while we were doing bubble tea, you know, they would like, people would like reach out to us like, oh, we wish you could come here. We wish you would tour it and da da da. And you know, we'd be like, dude, do it yourself. Do it in your own place and all that. Like, you don't need us, you know. You could totally just do this on your own. And so they're now like these like dope ass groups, like even Send Nudes in Los Angeles, based in Los Angeles. They're like a drag collective doing celebrating like queer API.
We should include that in their description. Are they links to all these collectives that we could share?
Yeah, if you go on yeah, absolutely, in Instagram, I can send you all these links. And actually, this is kind of a good segue. We're actually, Bubble Tea is planning on doing a few events in February in celebration of Lunar New Year. We're not hosting anything ourselves, but we've been invited by a couple of super amazing groups to be a part of their events. One of them is based out of Toronto, called Hot Pot Community. They're like adjacent to like New Ho Queen, who's also based in Toronto. They're throwing a huge virtual party coming up February 11th. And we have a little like segment on that, like a 1 hour segment. And then we have another party coming up hosted by our family in Los Angeles, Q&A, and also Send News. They're coming together and they're bringing forth like a dope global thing as well. Even a collective from Manila, Philippines, called That Elephant Party, which is this dope ass underground party that I got to like experience when I was visiting there a couple years ago. And they're going to be doing like a DJ set as well during their virtual Lunar New Year party called Year of the Extravaganza. So y'all gotta check that out. That's gonna be on February 13th. And lastly, we're gonna be partnering with Elsewhere Space, which is the club in Brooklyn where we used to have our bubble tea parties. And we're gonna be doing something really special with them on their Twitch called Elsewhere TV. And we are featuring two super dope, amazing DJs that we all love. One is The Limit Does Not Exist, and the other one is Chopsticks Mommy. And they're both super fucking fierce and amazing. And it's gonna be like 4 hours of club New York proper. And that's gonna be on February 20th. So I'll send you the links to that, obviously, for sure. And just want to do a last shout out to my homies, my partners in crime of Bubble Tea. You know, shout out to Stevie and Nick, New York City, to Carlo in Hawaii, and also to Polly T holding it down in Los Angeles. I miss y'all so much and can't wait to, you know, be together and have a fucking comeback Bubble Tea moment in person, IRL.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely include it in the description. So that's dope because even though that none of us could obviously go to a party in person, yeah. But you guys are still going virtually.
Yeah, we're still going virtually. In terms of Bubble Tea, we're a little bit like scattered right now, but the beauty is there's all these other collectives that is doing dope shit, and we get to like just be a part of it this time and not like organize it, and which is really, really fun.
With what you shared, it gives me hope, a lot of hope with the API community, the queer community, finding its own space and making its own space and empowering each other. And I'm really glad that this is happening.
Yeah, that's my favorite part, is that we can all empower each other to just make the shit happen and make the space happen. You know, it doesn't matter where the fuck you are. Even if it's just like you and 3 other friends, just fucking do it. You know, like, who cares? To me, the best part about it is just really seeing it continue to happen throughout. It's really awesome because it's like there shouldn't just be like one queer Asian party either. You know, I remember being in New York, we would get interviewed. They're like, oh, how long are you going to do this? And like, until we don't have to anymore, you know? There should be options. There shouldn't just be just one place where we could all congregate for just, and we were just like a once a month party. We weren't even like a weekly type thing. Every weekend, I should be able to be like, you know what? I want to go see some other APIs and like hang out, you know? Yeah. You know, in New York, it's like there's such a strong Latino community, such a strong like African American community. They've built these like amazing spaces already, and in terms of like API, there's just not a lot of options, you know? So for me, I'm always like encouraging and like doing the most. I'm that annoying motherfucking Tita being like, just do it already, you know, just you do it. Why do I have to do it? You know, I'm like, yeah, you know, there should be like other shit that, you know, we can go to, and different types of vibes and different types of music and different types of performance art and all of that. So I'm that annoying Tita.
Well, speaking of annoying Tita, we're going to introduce our annoying Tita with the Filipino word of the day. McCoy, I met you. You're the annoying Filipino Tita. I just want to be clear.
I figured.
Just want to be clear. We're just on the same page here.
So, the Filipino word of the day is ipagdiwang.
Ipagdiwang?
Ipagdiwang. It means to celebrate something or to celebrate.
Aw, that's cute.
Use it in a sentence.
Okay. Let's ipagdiwang our diversity.
Is that Tagalog?
Yeah.
Ipagdiwang. Love it.
Let's try Greg. Come on. All right,
Oh,
everyone just look at him.
I already like slaughtered Pedro's like last name.
I know.
And then you guys just informed me like, you know, in Pedro's name with the 2 L's, it's supposed to sound differently. Well, how come no one didn't teach me this? Did everybody know this?
Yes.
The 2 L's is L-Y? Okay, well, yeah, I knew that too. I just tested you guys.
Try the Filipino word. Just read the thing that I wrote.
Oh, that word that looks completely different than what I imagined it when you said it to be. As I'm reading now, like that. Oh, here, okay, I get. We just break it down, right? Ipag.
Yes.
Diwag. Wang. Wag. Wang.
Yes. That'll do.
Wait, how do you spell the last part? Is it NG or G?
NG. The last 2 letters. Yeah.
Okay.
Diwang.
Diwang.
Yeah.
Diwang, yeah.
Ipag Diwang. Did I get it right? Ipag
There
Diwang.
you go.
Hey, raise the roof.
Let's stop now
Ipag
before
Diwang.
you forget what it is.
I was gonna give you the word ipagbunyi, but I was like, no.
Damn.
What is that? Pedro, do you know what
This
that
shit
is?
is deep. I gotta ask my sister.
It's the same. It's very similar. Ipagbunyi.
Oh my god, I can't wait till I tell my sister this new word that I learned. She's gonna be like, what the fuck? Where'd you learn that? That's deep Tagalog.
We go deep here.
I guess. Yo. Damn.
Wait, that came out wrong. Sorry, guys.
Oh my
That came out wrong. Completely wrong. And on that note, Pedro, thank you so much for taking time to share your story. You had an amazing life, and I'm excited to join your virtual event. What day is that?
So February 11th.
February 11th.
Is the party is Year of the Ox, AUX, because we all digi now and shit. How brilliant is that motherfucking name? I was mad when they
That's great.
when they came out with that name, I was just like, fuck you. That's so fucking brilliant. It's so fucking good. Shout out to Hot Pot community. Shout out to New Ho Queen. Like, Toronto is in the motherfucking house. They're doing that. So that's going to be February 11th. And since I'm in Washington, I'm excited because I'm going to be like connecting with two artists that are based here in Washington State. One is Osake Papi and the other one is Mooncakes. So we're going to get together. I'm going to DJ a bit. They're going to perform. DJ, another perform. It's going to be cute. It's going to be real
That
cute.
does sound cute. And then how do they find that information? Is it like a website?
So you can go to our Bubble Tea Instagram. And we're going to be posting about it this week. I think Year of the Ox is going to be going live Monday. And Q&A is already going live for that kind of stuff. So the other party is being thrown by our extended family in Los Angeles proper, called Q&A, and also Send Nudes. And so their party is Oxtravaganza. And they have 7 different Asian queer API collectives coming together, doing a ton of shit. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be motherfucking dope. Yeah.
And I love it because you could just get drunk at home in your PJs and still be present.
Yes!
You know that's what I'm gonna be doing.
Yes, you can twerk, you do all of that.
And then you can send nudes while you're at it.
And you can send motherfucking dudes, yeah.
Dudes,
exactly. Yeah.
It's a win-win. Can't go wrong with that. And that's our show. If you would like to leave a comment, have a question for us, and we can answer on our podcast, you can reach us at...
On social media, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and CuriousCat at GamChat Podcast.
Or you can email us your questions at gamchatpodcast@gmail.com. And you know what? Why don't you guys ipagdiwang us, celebrate us by giving me 5 stars? Yeah, see, I'm always bringing it home. Give us 5 stars. Let us know why you love us.
Yo, that was hot.
If it's hate, 5 stars anyway.
It doesn't get much further than that. Does not. And Pedro, did you rate us yet? Leave a comment for us?
Oh my god, I need to do that. Yeah.
Well, he will be doing that.
You know
now.
what? You know what I'm doing? I'm in the middle of like listening to your fucking Thanksgiving Tito. Like, it's really hard to get through because it's so triggering.
It's emotional, right? It's triggering, right?
Oh my god, napaka-emo.com. I can't even deal. There's so many feelings that I'm literally like stop. Like I do like 10-15 minutes and
you
I'll
like
stop.
take a breath and like step away.
I have to take
collect
I have to
yourself.
step away, take a walk, and then I even like would like go to your actual recap thing that y'all did. You know, like I would go from that to back to the actual like podcast and everything. Yeah. So I'm trying to get through it, and then I'm gonna leave a comment.
Yeah, you do that because D will get you.
I will find you. I got ways. Yeah, there you go.
He will cut me. Oh my god.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one.